Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the training, learning, and development community. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. And we have a nice group of people that are already in. Christiana, of course, thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi,
Sue Ellen Scobie. Hey, boss. Melissa, Lisa, thanks for joining us this morning. Katrina, Melissa Houlihan, Brendan Chan, Michelle Shea. Welcome to our broadcast this morning. Nice to have you guys here in the group. So we're going to geek out today. This is exciting for me because this isn't a typical TLDC or TLD cast where we get to talk a little bit about hardware, talk a little bit about software. We're talking about webinar and hybrid learning tech setups, which is very interesting to me. And I'm excited that Mike Peacock is here to lead this one. Mike Peacock from Aristocrat Gaming. And so yeah, Mike, what exactly are we doing here? What are we trying to solve? What's the problem we're solving with this one?
Well, I think, well, first of all, thank you, Liz, for having me back on. I appreciate it. Love being here. I think one of the issues I think we're seeing nowadays is we've done a lot of webinars for the last, I don't know, year and a half. And so now we're slowly moving people into the classroom, but having people on Zoom because we're seeing it's cost effective to have people out there. So sometimes we're running into tech issues to get the best of both worlds. And if we are into the webinar, if we're still going the webinar route, we kind of, we're probably a little bored with it and want to enhance it, make it better for the learners. So let's talk tech.
Let's talk tech. And let's see. Lisa's saying she's getting a little bit of an echo, but I'm not hearing any echo on this end. So maybe double check and make sure you're not like you've got a second browser or something open. Yeah. But yeah, because you never know. Maybe this is something that I can even integrate into TLD casts. I love these hybrid sort of setups. So let's get into it. Let me hear about like why you built this thing first or started setting this up.
Well, we had a need. We're Aristocrat Gaming. We make slot machines out here in Las Vegas. So we train our technicians on the games themselves, the cabinets, but also the software side. And so prior to COVID, they would come into the training facility, get their hands on it, tear it apart, really getting into the cabinet and the technology. So with COVID, we went to Zoom, they couldn't see the cabinet anymore. They couldn't experience it. So thinking, all right, how can we get them to really still get that experience, without shipping a cabinet to their house, which is kind of costly. So we came up with a series of cameras and audio, and I have a background in audio engineering and video. Filming, editing, and running live shows. So I'm like, all right, let's treat it like a live show. And let's get multiple cameras. Let's get multiple microphones. Let's really produce this up. And so that's how it kind of started.
Nice. I love it. All right, let's get dirty with this now. I want to hear more. I'm going to go ahead and focus the screen on you and let you take it away. And I'll be like sort of in the little box background here, ready to pounce on you with questions.
Appreciate it. I think one of the big things with anything with the webinars nowadays is whether it's both on Zoom or a hybrid, is the first tool that you need, if you can, is a producer. To have someone in the background looking at the chats, maybe if you're going from a PowerPoint to a camera, back to a PowerPoint, pulling up a document, watching a video, it's always nice to have somebody in the background doing that and not relying that on the trainer. Let the trainer speak, let the trainer do what the trainer does, and have someone support the trainer in that aspect. And we find that when we do multiple cameras and stuff with our training, producer is essential to be switching back and forth from cameras and then again monitoring the chat, answering any questions, that type of stuff. So that's probably the number one tool if you can get one, if you can find someone.
Let me ask you this real quick. Please. Let me ask you this, Mike. What kind of what qualifies somebody as a producer?
Somebody someone that understands the software, like the Zoom, Teams, Skype, whatever platform that you're on, that can, type real quick and knows the setup of what's going on with the I call it the performance, the show, the training, and can knows how to switch back and forth, how to cue up music. And again, this is practice, working with the trainer as well prior to the training of timing, just like a performance. Think of this as a performance. You work with the band, you work with you go through run throughs and stuff, and the better you know, the better you can switch, the better you're comfortable with it, and anyone can do this. And you build up confidence along the way. It's extremely valuable to the performance, to the training, and so the learners. They're not waiting for something to load. They're not waiting while the trainer's trying to find a button because he's across the room. Now he has to go back over here. So you have someone that's just on it and just keeps it flowing. And anyone that knows anything about cameras and audio and stuff are just a blessing. A lot of YouTube videos on that. But I think anyone, if they want to step into that role, the first thing is get to know the gear and run throughs. Make sure you know that training very, very fluid.
Love it. Yeah. Joe Cook is saying she agrees with Mike. Anyone can learn, and there are different roles within production.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Some of the other things that we started doing with hardware was, so we were using the Zoom camera and everything, but we wanted to get really, really into the cabinets that we were doing and showing the different components of it. So what we started to do is I started playing around with, all right, how can I hook up a camera, an external camera? So my first thought, most people would be, okay, how can I use my iPhone or my phone? They're on a 4G or 4K. I can really get some really good shots with that. So with the software, you have to log into the platform via your cell phone. And so now you are a separate camera. And so the producer can pin you in certain platforms and can use that as a camera in the presentation, in the training. But you have to log in as someone that's attending the class. And so we thought we did that in the beginning. We used our cell phones. One of the things I would recommend, if you are going to use your cell phone, is to get yourself a gimbal. I don't know if Louis, you ever used a gimbal, but I love these things. It's a 3-axis gimbal, and your iPhone goes in here. You turn it on, and it remains steady. You can walk around, run around, jump around, and your cell phone will just be consistently steady. I've done many shootings of footage with this, where I'm walking down a hallway or upstairs, and there's no vibration. So invest in a good gimbal if you're going to go that route, and it will save your viewers from the Blair Witch or Cloverfield or any of those movies that were shot on a camera in motion. Or a tripod. Get a good tripod for your camera.
What kind of gimbal did you have there?
Oh, this one's awesome. This is my third one I've gone through because I could never find one that I really liked. And this is it's called Free Vision. I got it on Amazon, a couple $100. And it's chargeable, so you charge it and then you turn it on, and it's just a 3-axis gimbal. You can turn your cell phone, landscape or portrait, and then you can just run around the room. You can use your phone, do close-ups, and all that stuff just like you would with a phone. It's a lot easier to hold than your phone because your arms start to get shaky. So it's really, really, really good. Just a word of wisdom. Hey, there it is.
Yeah, nice. I have a DJI one.
Okay.
I'm still trying to learn how to use it, but yeah,
it's really neat.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve with your learning how to use these things.
Yes.
But I did use them for some promos for my band to just to do some band promos, and it works really, really well. So $100 at Best Buy, you guys, so that's something to consider if you want to do this. Now, I want so with if you're filming, say in a cabinet, were you setting up a tripod so that the cell phone was just pointing sort of like a static situation where it was just pointing within the cabinet the entire time?
We did start that way. We did. I bought a clip that will mount on any camera stand, and then you can just put your cell phone in it. So I have way too much stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we were doing that in the beginning, but then as my trainer was moving from here to here to here to here, it was a little bit challenging to take the phone off, and it would vibrate. So I was like, all right, it's got to be a better way. So I went through 3 gimbals, and I can see in the chat people are having gimbal issues. Yeah, that's why I have 3, because one of them didn't work. And Christiana, next time you're off a boat and on land, I'll take a look at your gimbal. But yeah, that's why I was on my 3rd one, because I just couldn't find a good one that worked, and I really, really like this one. So that's where the gimbal came in. And if you are, just a little FYI, a little tip of the day, Peacock pointer is if you are using your cell phone, please turn off your notifications, because anything that pops up on your phone will be seen by everyone in the session. So just a little life lesson there.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, no, it's funny how often I see that in, just even on basic videos, clips on online, just people showing, like, if they're filming something and all of a sudden a little notification will pop up. It just interrupted. Yeah,
you never know what's going to pop up on your phone.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Cool.
So that's
so generally in these situations, is your producer operating the gimbal, or are you operating the gimbal?
As the producer, I would be operating the gimbal.
Okay.
Now, again, if I can get a producer to be on the computer, and then myself operating the camera, if we have 3 people, that would be awesome. And sometimes we have. Embarrassing, yeah. Sometimes we do. If we only have two persons for that training, then I'll be on the camera, and then I'll also be kind of monitoring the chat and making sure everyone's seeing correctly what's going on, which led me into my next thought. Like, all right, there's got to be a better way. I don't want to use my phone anymore. I want to go directly into the Zoom session or the team session or whatever. I don't want to be a third party outside. And so what I was thinking is, like, all right, how do I get a camera into Zoom? So if you look at a camera, any kind of like camcorder or anything like that, the cable that comes with it is a mini HDMI to HDMI. There we go. There's the shot. So if you first thought was like, hey, I'll just run this into my computer. Well, HDMI is out. It's not meant to go in. So that's not going to work. So, and also in the platforms, when you're going to your video settings, the video settings do not recognize HDMI. So they only recognize USB. So this is the secret tool right here. It's called the Cam Link, which converts HDMI to USB. So I can put this on any camcorder and then run it right into the computer. And now my camcorder is the camera for Zoom. And it is awesome. I love this one. This is a 4K. Even if you don't have a 4K camera, I would invest in the 4K. It's a little expensive, 120-ish or something, but it is well worth it if you want to go that route. So then I can run my camcorder into the Zoom session itself. And again, did the same thing. I had it on a tripod. I could go mobile with it. I have this is called a shoe, which is where you can connect any lights or microphones or anything. And then so that way I could go mobile with it, and then put it back on the tripod and stuff. So that was my next endeavor, was actually using a real camcorder. And nice. The clarity was better. It was easier to use. And so it just made for a better training environment.
All right. So I got a bunch of questions in my head, but I got some good ones in here that I would like to get past before we go any further. Jackie Regan is asking, do you have an actual visual of technical and class setup? And we are talking about some people in person, some live online, right?
Sure.
Or am I incorrect in assuming what you were defining as hybrid? So let's get that one out of the way. We're talking about some people in person and some in live online, right? When we're talking about the hybrid situation.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
so I do have a setup. I do have setups that I use. We're actually advancing now into multiple cameras. So I have a splitter over here. So now I can run 3 cameras in, and it's on a remote. So the trick with, again, production is I never want to see, and this evolved from the iPhone to single camera. So I was doing a wide shot and then go back, and then wide shot and go back, and it got a little dizzy. So I don't want to do that. In real production, like if you watch football or anything, you don't see the cameras going in and out. They just go to a different camera. So I have a 1 camera set up in the room as wide, and then I'll have a mobile camera that I go in for my close-up. So you'll have the wide shot, and then if I'm going in to see something, I will take myself, go in, go to camera 2. Now you see the close-up shot. Now I need to go back. I go camera 1, goes back to the wide shot, and then I move. So you never see the camera move anymore. So we can do up to about 3 cameras. I mean, I have an overview, maybe 1 underneath. And so even in the hybrid, this is great because, again, people online want to see what's going on in the classroom while there's people there. They want to see the people. So you get a nice wide shot of the class, and you can see people interacting. You get that more connection feel than just Zoom. So you can have a camera up front facing side view maybe of the instructor and the audience or the classmates, and that way you can see them. They can look directly at you, and but you have multiple cameras and you just switch between them.
So if you were in a Zoom environment, do you just leave those cameras on all the time so people can like control what they're going to want to look at within Zoom?
Now I can control it. They can't control it yet. If I did with iPhones, you can, because if I had, say, 3 iPhones up and I had them positioned in different places, um, um, then you could see all 3 cameras in the Zoom session, and you could pin or enhance which view you wanted to see. So we could technically do it, but we need to have each camera inputted into the session, not connected to the session with a cable.
Nice. Okay, and Joe Cook has a nice sort of devil's advocate question here. Should we even be entertaining the idea of hybrid? Will one party not have a worse time than the other?
I don't know. It all depends how interactive your classes are. I don't know. I think some people don't want to go in the office. Some people can't go in the office.
Right.
And I think for them to get the experience, it's a little bit better, I think, using multiple cameras and multiple technology than just sitting and watching the webinar. Because the people you almost get jealous of the people in the room they're experiencing and touching and feeling and looking directly at it close up, and you got this really big webinar camera back here. So I think with the extended camera or multiple cameras, you feel like you're looking in at what everybody else is seeing.
I like it. And it's kind of just, it's just I think it's just for what we're going through right now with the pandemic and everything. It's just an option. It's an option.
It's an option
to get the information out there. Now I'm going to ask you, Kit Saul, who I'm sure you've seen around here in TLDC land. He's really, really great at using this particular technology. I can't remember what it is, but it's this device that can wirelessly connect to different cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And you could actually use an iPad to control what the view is of each one. He volunteered for a TLDC conference at one time, and he brought his equipment with him. He used to work for eBay, and he filmed the sessions for me. And he was actually going from one camera to the other, just using his iPad. It was such an incredible experience, but I don't remember what that device is called. And it seems like something that would probably be really, really useful for you.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. I can't remember. I'm sure it's in my carts on Sweetwater or something, along with a lot of other things.
Those carts.
And they email you every day. Don't forget to buy this. But yeah, I have seen that. It's a Bluetooth device that you can hook into cameras and stuff, and then operate everything from an iPad. I used to do that with audio, with microphones and stuff on digital boards. When I would run graduations or shows and stuff, I would walk around, so that way you can you can adjust the EQs and stuff in like a stadium or a room, so
Yeah.
everyone's getting the same balance of sound.
Yeah.
Same thing with cameras, and I would have to look that up,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jackie. I'll get back to you on that one. But
And I
it's
bring it.
awesome.
Yeah, I bring it up because Joe was asking, do you have any experience of Zoom and the TV style of production for different views of remote and in-person audiences and mixing these live? And I know that's something that Katsal was able to do
Mm,
with this particular device. And I wish he were in here right now because he would just he's incredibly good at some of this stuff.
mm.
But it would be able to sort of replicate that experience of a TV style production thing. I think pushing it out via live stream, but I'd have
Yeah.
to learn
No, I
more
think it
about
would be really good. I think sometimes in our situations we move around a lot in the training room. We go
that.
from this cabinet to this cabinet to this cabinet. So if I
Yeah.
have stationary cameras, I can't use that. So I'd have to be moving them anyway. Um, but I do see his point, and it would be for a hybrid. If you're just staying in the front and showing slides or maybe a product or something, then something like that would be awesome.
So,
So
so logistical question here, just so when you're doing these types of training situations,
mhm.
do you just have one producer or are you using multiple people?
If I can find multiple people, the more the merrier. But it's most of the time it's myself and the trainer.
Ah,
And
okay.
so I wear all the hats. I wear the production hats. I wear the the operator hats. We do have in one of our trainings we have a big TV which we put our Zoom onto, so I can just kind of look over my shoulder and see comments, and so I don't have to run back to the small computer for it. So we use it that way, and our trainers are excellent at jumping in if there's a question. So we do work really well together. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. One last question. Let's see that
Yeah.
we have in here. Sherry is asking, what is the most challenging part of a hybrid setup?
A hybrid setup, a challenging part of it is, again, kind of asking the production of it because the trainer may be so used to doing breakout rooms and Zoom and everything on Zoom. Now they're changing their format of how they're doing it. So if you've worked with that trainer and now it's a hybrid class, I highly recommend doing a production run through again of where are people sitting, where will you be presenting, what kind of products are we looking at, screens and that forth, of how did you modify it now for that. And help them and direct them as well, because sometimes they just, oh, we're just going back to normal, and you're like, well, no, we still have people online, so you have to, remember to include them in the class.
Hmm,
So as well as a producer, you're kind of guiding the talent a little bit, as all producers do, and guide them to where you think would be best.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. All right, that was the last question.
cool. I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, we use it's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to to more hybrid classes, and I know we have more people on our team that would like to get into the producing factor. But again, it's just time, and it's and projects and busyness and everything. Um, but it's something. It's better than drone. I have a drone. Yes. Thanks, Shuri. Yes, I've gotten into drones now because we do a lot of um, our equipment's getting bigger and we can't see the top of it. So I bought a drone. So now I'm gonna work my drone into a live class somehow. And I have GoPros and everything. So again produce the whole thing up, and because
Nice.
that's what it should be. A training should be a production, whether you're live, whether you're in class, whether it's hybrid, whether it's online. It has to be a show, in my opinion. And I was been a teacher for 20 years, and all of my classes were a show, um, as you could probably tell. Just get in there and entertain.
So let me can you give me just sort of a visual of what,
Mhm.
say, describe what the last training setup that you used looked like, sort of
Sure.
from the classroom perspective, and then like how big your online audience was, how maybe they were looking at what was going on, and then maybe any feedback that you've received from those types of productions.
Sure, I'll give you one that kind of changed everything for us. Um, I don't have a picture, Jackie. I kind of just have it all in my head. I write it out the day of, I think, because again, everything changes in our world. Everything moves around because of the product. But so we did one training on some software and hardware of a cabinet, and so this is an earlier one, and kind of changed everything on how we did it. So we had one camera, and we did, we were supposed to see the cabinet and how to do printers and the internal guts of it, and then we would go to the software. So the camera moved a lot. It moved from down here to see this, and then up over here to see the screen. And then when we focused in on the screen, we had an old camera, and it didn't pick up the pixels like it's well. So take your iPhone and put it up to a screen and see how sharp it is. If you have an old phone, it's not going to be as crisp and clear. And that's what we ran into with the session. That was the feedback we got, was like, hey, it was a great training, but we couldn't see the screen, which was 2 hours of the training. So in my sense, all right, that wasn't a good training. So that's where the 4K camera or the iPhone came in, because of the clarity of the screen. And then we decided, okay, let's use two cameras. So one that stayed right on the screen and the other one that was mobile. So they could see the parts, see the trainer, and then go right back to the screen. And that's when we started doing the two camera one. And then we got a third one for the view. So it was like, all right. So it kind of grew naturally out of feedback from the sessions. All right, let's try this. All right, that didn't work. How can we make it better? And so that's what it grew into now, is we have a camera, say we're looking at a screen and some of the software on there. So we have a screen camera, 4K at least, on that screen. We have another one that's mobile, and then we have another one that's stable in the room, so they can see the vision of the people that are in there and or the trainer.
Nice. So what was the audience, the live audience side, the face-to-face audience size when you were doing this? And were they gathered around you as you were doing the training, or were they sitting in seats?
No, on one of the last ones we did, it was on a cabinet, and we had people gather around it. And
Okay.
so we had about, I'm probably rounding up to, let's say, 10. And the cabinet's only so big. Think of a monitor. And so people were crowding around it. So what we did is we took a camera and we put it way up, like say 15 feet or so, and then aimed it down, got a really nice shot of the screen itself. So now people could step back and look at our big TV of what the trainer was seeing. So you didn't have to be right there, which again, for COVID purposes, was, we can now have separation. So there were some people around the cabinet, and then there was some people sitting back and looking at it from the screen. And we could have had people come in from Zoom as well. So they could see the screen. People in the room could see the screen. They weren't huddled around it. And then we had a second camera for the hardware part of it. So when we went down into the button decks and all the hardware connections, that second camera, and again, same concept, we showed it in the room, so people didn't have to gather around it. People online could see it, and it wasn't interfering, and people were respectful of the camera. Okay, oh, there's a camera there, so they would back off and make room for it. So it was actually it was probably one of the better ones because of that.
That almost sounds like watching surgery.
Yeah, or a big, surgery, and you can look down at the cameras and the screens, and so it was a good experience. People walked away really, even the people online, knowing, had a really good, comfortable feeling of being familiar with the product because of it.
So when you were what you were showing off was inside, like wiring or working on circuit boards or that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yes.
And then how about your audience that was watching it online, like via sort of like in a Zoom or webinar situation?
Yep, we can switch.
Can you talk about their experience a little bit?
I think they slot machines are giant computers. Yes, they are. I think they really are enjoying the multiple cameras, the multiple looks. And even when we get into the hardware, we actually say, okay, now it's your turn. I'm just your eyes. You tell me what to do. And so now the person online has to come off camera or come off microphone and say, all right, I want you to move this. See the gray button? I want you to touch the red button. So we're just basically their eyes. And they have to tell us where to look. So it's almost like a simulation type thing. So we're trying to use it as an interactive as well.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Very nice.
Yeah, we're trying. There's always more toys, boss. There's always more
Cristiano, are you
toys.
paying this man enough? All right. And so how about this? Let's get into some more specifics. Audio. What are you using? Just the NAT? Are you piping in any external audio at all? Or are you just using the audio that's in the cameras? How's that working?
So our producer or on the all of us will have a wireless microphone. Even our trainer has a wireless microphone, and so a Bluetooth type thing. So we all have wireless, and we're all running that into the Zoom session. So everyone's has their own camera. Everyone is logged in. So if I want to speak, I just freely, hey Dave, we got a question over in chat, or just like we're doing here. If someone comes in as a guest, I can put a little lavalier on them and then run that into either the computer itself or run it into the camera. So I tend to use the camera as my second audio source. And if I have multiple audio sources, excuse me, then I'll grab my board, and which is my portable mixing board. I'll run in multiple things into it, multiple microphones, and then run that out into the Zoom or into the camera itself.
Wow. So this might not be for the tech faint of heart.
Been doing this for 20 years. It's kind of like, I get to play with toys. I don't know.
I know. If you're a hardware geek, you kind of like, yeah, let's just make this as crazy as possible.
Exactly. I want people to walk in and go, wow, what's this class about? Why are there all these cables everywhere?
Now, I did see Quetzal just popped in, and he had he messaged me the device that he's talking about is called Sling Studio, which I can completely vouch for was an incredible addition to when we did TLDC 19 and he filmed a bunch of the sessions.
Nice.
If you remember and you go back to those conference recordings, just take a look at the ones that are especially smooth and nice. Those were all done by Quetzal. If you look at the ones that were done by a GoPro, I think Sam did those, and you could tell there's a huge difference in the production level of Sling Studio. And he used a couple cameras that were set up in different parts of the room, and he was able to use an iPad to like just go back and forth between them. Did an incredible job, and I'm excited to also see that he mentioned that we're a couple other products, YOLO Box and the ATEM Mini, I think it is, that were newer entries into this market, because at some point before I do a TLDC 22 or whatever the next live event is going to be, I'm definitely going to invest in something like that, because it's sort of a must-have thing. And I would love to hear, Joe Cook, if you are looking into doing these hybrid setups, I think those would probably be great hardware pieces to consider. Yeah, there you go. So Quetzal is saying Sling Studio is good for using iPhones as a streaming camera. That's excellent.
Thank you. No, that's awesome. I look forward to playing. So appreciate it. If I have any questions, I'm coming your way.
Yeah, you can sell that drone.
All right, Christiana, nice.
Sell that drone and buy a Sling Studio. I have a feeling it'll totally be worth it. It almost reminds me a little bit, Mike, of like I see these guys like yourself, probably audio engineers that are walking around mixing a band using an iPad.
Yep. Absolutely. I have a board where I can just put my iPad in and use it. I can use it for live sound. Like I mentioned, you can use it for video. I use it as a teleprompter. So when I'm doing filming TVs or film or something, I can just put up a teleprompter, write it on my iPad, done. And so iPads are great for in the field work.
Nice. So I'm going to wrap up pretty soon here, but I got a couple more of my own questions for you. When you're building this stuff out, I mean, what are you thinking about in terms of like how the longevity of this type of a setup? Is this something that you expect to be doing even after, say, the pandemic is over? Is this something that you're going to keep within sort of your training toolbox now going forward for an indefinite amount of time?
I think so. I think one of the things that we're finding is that through this pandemic, all the training has still kept going, and it still has been received very well. And I think due to cost, just cost alone of flying people in from across countries and stuff, or across the United States, or travel and all that stuff. I just think it's so much easier. I think companies will see all the benefit of expenses that are saved by doing this. So I think we will be. My gut tells me that we'll be. Krishana's like, yes, that we will be doing hybrid learning for a very long time, and I tend to agree. So I tend to agree.
Is there a skill set that you're sort of seeing in this, like something that, if you continue to do this, and you might need to bring in other people that might be able to help you with these hybrid learning situations? I'm sure you're not the only one out there that's probably doing this. Is there anything in particular, like, that you say, learn X and learn this, learn that, this will help you be able to accommodate this this type of activity? Like, should people just get better at using cameras, or how much do they need to know about audio and all that stuff?
Everything. Sorry. No, I think experimenting, playing. What do you have, and how can we use it? And then you'll see the next. Let's try this. Okay, I'd like to do this. How can I do that? And then you research it, or reach out to anyone in the chat here, myself. Gladly help. And I think I think people, and there's a lot of classes on this, and a lot of people have been discussing this, is really working on the Zoom class itself as a real class, like you would be there, or they would be there. So activities, I love using the breakout rooms. I saw someone had a really good idea as a breakout room, as an escape room. So you go from breakout room to breakout room, but you have to escape from it. And it was really kind of neat. So I think using that, using the technology that we have, whether they're in the class or not, or both, we can work together, pairing up a person in the class with someone in Zoom, in a breakout room. So you're connecting both the worlds together. Why should all the people in the room be together and all the Zoom people be together? That's not fair. So let's bend them together. And I think, playing around with it, because we've been doing this for a while now. So let's take it up a notch. Let's see what we can do, whether it's all hybrid, or whether it's still all virtual.
Love it.
There's a lot of people out there that will help out. A lot of
so
ideas.
Just if you're somebody that is just wanting to figure out, I don't know, like a similar situation where maybe you're training people on a piece of hardware and you just want to get started doing this with really basic equipment. Start out with like you were saying earlier, tripod or gimbal, just have that and just log in twice into a Zoom type of interface and just start from there and then expand as you get better at it.
The more cameras that you have in, the people can pick and choose. You can pin it. So if you want one camera to be the main screen, then you just pin that iPhone camera on there, and that's what they see. And then your producer can go, okay, let's pin this camera. Let's pin this camera. So now you're doing multiple cameras, but you need a producer to actually work that behind the scenes of pinning the different cameras or iPads or what have you, to the view of the learner.
I love it. Do you use static images at all in any of your training? Would you just, show a JPEG or whatever to sort of, yeah?
Oh, I've shown videos. We'll show videos, JPEGs. We'll go and do a Rise module or whatever. Anything and everything should be included in one of these sessions, in my opinion, because they're all interactive and they all serve. If they serve a purpose for the learning and for the engagement of the learners, then I say try it.
It's game.
It's game.
All right, Mike. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this one up. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I want to mention in chat. Oops, let me get both of us on here. How do I do that again? Well, I guess I'm not. Well, so what I wanted to mention was that Mike and I were talking in the green room. We were talking about microphones, and I'm sure we could talk about cameras. I'm sure we could talk about a bunch of different hardware types of things. If anybody's interested in that, let me know, or go to TLD chat and post it in Slack. Let us know, and maybe we can we could produce more of these. Mike and I also geek out on guitars. I mean, last time I talked to him, we were talking about necks, guitar necks, and like, because I'm looking for something to match my 57 Les Paul, and he was able to, he told me about looking at Dan Electro guitars. So we geek out on stuff all the time. Would love to talk more about, more applicable stuff to TLDC. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Just DM me, and maybe Mike will be generous enough to share more knowledge with us.
Always.
Let's see. I do want to mention, Kitsal said here, I'm blocking my camera, but adding a picture as a virtual background, and then I pin it so my camera becomes an impromptu sign during breakouts. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good tip too.
One of the new features in Zoom is that you can actually do a PowerPoint presentation and have that as your background. So you could be a little character in the background of a PowerPoint presentation, and then move yourself around it.
Nice. Ooh, maybe we need to do something like that soon. Show that little feature.
Toys.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much again for joining us today. We've got next week. I am going on another run of member showcases, and of course, we've got Lisa Crockett, who's in the audience right now, and Monique St. Paul talking intersections and learning. They've got that series going. So we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks, everybody. And thanks again, Mike.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.